be blessed by the divine. Saluting Mother, Father, and the Guru. May the Guru conduct this session in his astral presence. So today's topic for discussion is sins, imprints, and purification. This is purely from Vedatri Maharishi's ancient scientific wisdom. He has given to the world by his research of the scriptures, by his experience. So it's a condensed form of the philosophy, very simple to understand, very simple to practice too. So definitions, some fundamental definitions of what Maharishi has given. So we have to understand what cause and effect is. So whatever action you do, there is always a result. It's like Newton's law of motion, like every action has an equal and opposite reaction, but it's a little different. For every cause, for anything you do, there is a result. And this system will never fail. The result may be in the present or in the future. The nature will calculate it and present it back to you. So this is a fundamental principle of ancient science. This is how it operates. We'll go in depth more on this. So, and sin, what is the definition for sin? So, according to Maharishi, any action you do, whether when it causes harm to oneself or others, physically or mentally, in the present or in the future, it is a sin. It's kind of this twofold moral principle is given opposite. It's not a sin, so it's kind of opposite. So, so anything in this universe, any action against men or material will result in if it is harmful, it will result in a sin. It just doesn't have to be like a person. It can be your environment. That will also result in a sin. Like if you are causing harm to your environment by pollution, that is also a sin. So how these things will get to us, we'll talk more about it. But this is the fundamental definition. Any questions about these definitions?
What do you mean it's different from what we follow?
It's not. It's a twofold moral principle. Says what is. It's kind of a twofold moral principle. Ahimsa. You should not cause harm. If you cause harm, it will be sin. So it's kind of opposite. Twofold moral principle is ahimsa, and the opposite of it is himsa. Himsa meaning it's sin, pretty much.
These days we can't, without car or anything, we can't run our life. So definitely pollution we can't avoid, right? So
Right.
at least basic thing, it should be acceptable, right?
Yes, the thing is we have created a society like that, right? So how do you can't escape from karma. It is not, there is no acceptance or thing here. You are living with nature. So if you cause something, nature will give it back in a way, like in terms of greenhouse, global warming. That is the result. So how do you manage that? How do you develop technologies which does not cause harm to your society? Is still up for kind of challenge, and I think it is, with the evolution of the human mind, it is possible to develop such green technologies which will not cause harm. So right now we have built a society based on greed, and in order to change that, there are things that has to fundamentally change. Fundamentally change from the education itself. So then there will be global changes possible. But at least we should start from the individual. So we have to make attempts to change to our, from the individual to the family to the society, and get this revolution going, right? So you have to start. So before we go into this actual concepts, we need to understand another fundamentals called magnetism. I think most of you might know, but some of you may not know, so I want to cover this before. Like, how many of you do not know what magnetism is?
You mean biomagnetism?
Magnetism in general. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, right, the space is everywhere, right? There is space everywhere. Space, the nature of the space is self-compression. Space compresses itself. So when the compression happens, there's a particle that comes out of it, which is called formative dust. This is Maharishi's based out of his intuition. He has described how evolution happened. So how the space transformed into particles, into atoms, into elements, into planets, into living beings. So that's how the evolution started. So the first process is space compresses itself. As a result of it, particle emanates. And sometimes it's not strong enough to form a particle, it will kind of go back to become the space itself. So that is called magnetism. Basically, magnetism is kind of a wave that comes out of friction between space and energy. So it finally subsides into the space again. So that is a continuum between, it always happens throughout the universe. This phenomenon exists throughout the universe, that it connects everybody. Everything in the universe is connected through magnetism. Because the space exists everywhere. Wherever there is space, there is friction happens. Whenever there is friction, magnetism is there. So there is no place in the universe where magnetism does not exist. So everybody is connected to each other through magnetism. It is the medium. It is the medium where your thoughts travel. So it is all penetrative. It's like you can penetrate everything. It can reflect. So it can reflect, it can refract, it can flash, it can interact. So it can do all these things because it's a very, very subtle energy that is emanating from the space and dissolves in the space back again. So it's kind of connecting everybody together. So you understand what magnetism is? It's like if you see somebody it's through light, again, through light is also a kind of a transformation of magnetism. So you see a person, it comes back and reflects, and it goes in and stays as an image in your system. When you think back again, the same image comes back, right? So magnetism is connecting one object to another object, one person to another person, anything for that matter. So basically, any action we do in the results in according to cause and effect, it will result in an experience. There will be a result. So result is called nothing but when it gets stored in our system, it is called an imprint. It's like a image or a record which gets stored. So basically, any experience is a record in our system. It's recorded. Where is it recorded? It's recorded in different places, right? Throughout the human body, it gets recorded. Like each cell in the body will get the imprint. Just not the brain. Modern science will tell it's just the brain, but it is just not the brain. Brain records particular types of imprints, but there are imprints recorded in your hands, your food, all these senses, everywhere the imprints will get recorded. Apart from that, it will also get recorded in your biomagnetism, which is flowing throughout the body. Right? Because in the body also there is a lot of particles, and out of that biomagnetism is generated, so it's going to run throughout the body. So it will store as a record, like a tape, it's going to go and get recorded. This information gets recorded. And also, it is stored in a genetic center. Genetic center is nothing but like a place in the body where the concentration of all the energy particles are there. So it is also recorded there. So it is Mooladhara is where the genetic center is actually. So it is also recorded there. Also stored in the universe. So that's why magnetism, I talked about magnetism, basically even if I say something, right, it is recorded in the universal field. Because it's there's particles and Panchabhutas, right, in there, so everywhere the information will be there. You'll be able to get to that information when you tune to that. That's how the ancient masters were able to get the secrets from the universe. They were able to tune their mind to the secrets in the universe and get the secrets. So whatever is being said by one master to another master can get traveled through the universal magnetism. It will stay there. So what Maharishi has said, what Maharishi's experience, for example, would be there in the universal magnetism. If we tune our mind in a lower frequency, we'll be able to get what he has said and understand. Even if you read a book, the information contained in it, you may understand only if you tune to the frequency of what the author has written, right? So you have to tune to get the right information. Similarly, the universe has universal secrets and information that you can tune into. So whatever you do gets imprinted not just in the physical body, and it also gets imprinted in your universe itself. So sin is a negative. Sin is something what I said was causes harm, right? So it is also an imprint. It will get recorded. So whatever when we cause harm, it will get recorded. There is no escape from that. It will get recorded. Recording will happen. So basically, anything you record will manifest back again as thought, and you will execute it repeatedly. Let's say you're watching a TV show, it gets recorded and becomes a habit, and you watch it again, watch it again, watch it again, watch it again. That's how. So basically, an imprint becomes strong enough that it becomes the habit, and habit becomes what? Destiny. So the imprint, the recorded imprint is so powerful that it will, if it is not managed, it can ruin our life. So you may not be able to see this. I'll explain a little bit. So basically, how does the sin kind of start? Like the process starts. I want to explain. So basically, ego is the primary cause of the sins. From there only it starts. So ego meaning like it is two. It can be explained in two principles. One is everything is mine, and I have to get control over the objects or person that I interact with. So that's the ego.
Can you say that again?
So ego is nothing but the representation of the self which wants everything or wants to have control over everything, men or material. So that is the ego. Now that transforms into different moods for the in the human mind. This is basically kind of we acquired it from the process of evolution. These the ego has matured into these temperamental moods, which is greed, anger, miserliness, immoral sexual passion, inferiority, superiority complex, vengeance. So these are the 6 temperamental moods. In the process of evolution, we have arrived here. It's a very great place to be in, not a great place. So through evolution, this is the ego has matured into this heightened state of temperaments, which will cause sins. So basically, these moods, greed, anger, all these will cause the below sins like lying, stealing, murder, gambling, rape, prostitution. All these things happen out of these temperamental moods. So kind of when you go extreme in any of these things, it is going to cause crimes. So this is how sin kind of appears. This in Sanskrit is called Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Mastery. So they result in an experience, right? So when you get angry with someone, it is an experience that will get recorded, and you will get anger with that person again. It's not going to stop until you do something about it. So it's an experience that is recorded. You'll have to do something about it. The experience, either you gained it through inheritance or by yourself too. Inheritance, like in your family history also, you could gain some of these things because it's evolutionary, right? And some you since you do not since you act on it, and if you don't control over it, you're going to increase it. So another way of looking at it is, this is a cycle. The thought results in a word, and then it will manifest into an action. Action, what an action becomes an experience again. So when you do an action, you will get an experience. Then again the experience becomes a thought, word, deed, action. So this is a cycle. This is a cycle we are living. When we talk, I'm going to talk about some ancient saints, the quotes. They typically say, I want to be able to get out of the chain of birth and death. This is the actual reference for that. This is what they're talking about, not about anything like body level consciousness. This is how do I get out of this? Is the goal of any saint in the past. They wanted to do it, but they want peace. But as long as you live, can you get out of this? Can you get out of this? Even it could be a good thing, right?
Yes, even if we do good, good will come another next time. But that is also one revolution. If bad comes.
Yes.
Only thing that nature of the thing is different. Just
Right. Both are experiences, but this is a cycle for anything. Like as long as the thought exists. If there is no thought, this does not happen. If there is no thought exists, this will not happen. That's what the goal of self-realization is, to get to that no thought state. When you don't do anything, but as long as you live in the universe, in your physical body, you have to go through this cycle. There is no escapism. How do you make sure this cycle helps you to be living in harmony with yourself, your society, is the challenge. How do you make this cycle good enough that you can not cause harm to anyone, physically or mentally? That's the challenge. That's what we, and as long as you live, if you can handle that, then I think life will be happy. Beyond that is the no thought state. Right now in this universe, we are not kind of, even if you want to be like in a no thought state, you have duties that you cannot be forever. So as long as you live, if you are able to manage and not cause harm to anyone, then you manage this cycle. So this is the most important cycle, and this is very, very important for your spiritual growth.
Can please,
Sure. So thought results in like you speak something out of the thought, and results in an action. The action, out of the action, you get an experience back, because nature will give you back. Going back to this cause and effect. So whatever may be the cause, there is a result. This is the cause and effect system which never fails. So you will get it back today, immediately, or tomorrow, or you will get it back after you exit the physical body to your society. You never know how this. We don't have the intelligence to kind of say when and where it will happen, but it will give it. That is the truth. Even if you do something today, and if you're destroying the society, tomorrow you live and your life and go away. But tomorrow's generation will have something catastrophic. You're causing more global warming, more things. Maybe we'll live a lifetime, but tomorrow's generation will get that karma, will come back and bite heavily. So cause and effect system. But in your lifetime, the experience that you have, that you got, will come back again as a thought and go through the cycle again. Good or bad.
So if you have to go to the state that we don't think anything and no thoughts, then we have to clear our imprints, or we can do that without even clearing our imprints. So what is the best way to attain that state?
It's mutually beneficial. It is, if you clear your imprints, you can get there sooner. You can get to that frequency. Clearing, I think the excess baggage of imprints will prevent you from getting closer. But it is thinking of it, that static state, you can still become that and be in a karma-free zone and get that. It's like if you dip yourself into the ocean, you kind of become the ocean for the moment you dip. So you will get that characteristics into your system. So it will help.
So when we say when we are in no thought state, then that means we cleared all our karma.
No. You are not going to clear all your karmas by just dipping for a second.
If you're permanently in no thought.
If you want,
because when you are in no thought, you don't have no evil thought outside. So that state is a good thing. This is like a parole. If you want to really get the freedom, parole is one way of seeing, oh, this is good outside, maybe we should be doing good. So it's an experience. But to really want to get mukti is the real release. So you're not going to do that by 2-minute parole. That's not the real freedom.
Then we
So
can
meditation
our
helps.
current job and
Meditation helps, but you have to do that you have to keep that meditation feeling, and right. The challenge is to live the same thoughtless state and not to hurt anyone whole day. It's not the 10 minutes. So you have to leave the remaining 23 hours.
So this cycle says if you have less thought, you have less imprints. Because of less imprints, you have less thought. You have more thoughts, more imprints, again more thoughts. So that's what. And I have a question. If anything stops at thought, as in proceed further,
Yes.
will it be an experience or imprint? Just a
You will
thought?
not, see if you, let's say, this is called, let's say there is a middleman here who's called awareness. He sits here, he will not allow this thought to manifest into act, word and action. So you are not getting imprint. So that's the technique we talk about. But that's the key of meditation or any of these practices. That's
Only in a sleeping state you won't get thoughts. But rest of the time you
sleeping state, sleeping state you may not get thoughts, but you are not aware. You're sleeping.
No, we are getting dreams. That itself, our brain is still thinking
Yeah.
everything. So
Yeah.
some length is there.
Something is will go on subconscious mind, where at that time your senses are not operating, but your subconscious mind is still functioning.
That is the nature's forced meditation.
Correct.
Yes, here you are doing voluntary.
So in other words, words and action
Mhm.
causes more imprint than thought. Is that right?
Thought is the driver though.
Thought is the
Without
seed.
thought, nothing
Thought
happens,
is the
right?
seed.
Seed needs to be controlled. So if they cannot exist without thought. Thought is the ultimate. Okay. So okay, going back. So when did this cycle start? The cycle started whenever the universe. You never know when this started. There's no beginning. There is no end to it. It always is there. It's a phenomenon. It is a phenomenon that always exists because the inherent property of the space is self-compressive surrounding pressure. So it will compress. It has consciousness in it. That is why it's also doing it. From there only particles started. So inherently it is there. So, but it tried to evolve and it acquired all these characteristics. So we only evolved like this. So why did you evolve? There's no way to answer that. It is always there.
I think it is, the cycle started when we got the sixth sense. If we are living like an animal, we all think that animal means bad, so human beings are superior. But a lot of people who are in the meditation state thinks the other way. They think they get the message from the divine directly. They follow the divine message, whereas humans have their own thought. The reason God gave that was to realize to realize self itself. That's why they gives the sixth sense, but we use that sense, misuse it for our own greed. Like no animal will plan what we are doing, like we are cutting chickens and planning it, packaging it. No lion will do that. They don't even want to do that. It's not like they cannot do it. They only eat when they are hungry. So they are doing it in even though it's a predators, no predator will try to minimize the victim's suffering, all the predators. That's the difference. That's why we are basically going back to like a plant or a earth or an animal. Instead of thinking higher, and the greed will goes higher and higher. We have to bring down the frequency.
So the cycle always exists. As long as the thought exists, the cycle always exists. It is acquired through the process of evolution. And we as a human beings have, as he was mentioning, we have the capability to kind of understand this and avoid it. So, how do we get out of this vicious imprint cycle? You can't go to a forest, you can't be living without a thought, you don't exist without a thought. Will this not end at all? It won't end, the thought cycle won't end. We just need to manage it. So what can we do about it? The sixth sense is our rescue. So we as human beings have this sixth sense, which is called as awareness. That is our can help us eradicate and understand how we evolved and eradicate all these imprints, and so that we go to the root from where we started and be there. So that's the purpose of the sixth sense. It evolved to trace back. It's like it has evolved to a point that it has the ability to trace back from where it has come, why it has come, what it needs to do, and all that, without causing harm. It has all that intelligence. We just need to invoke that it is all within us. So constant awareness is nothing but intelligence about whatever we are going to do. We will have to know the result also. When you do an action, you will have to have that sense to kind of, hey, if I do this thing, it is going to happen like this. You can arrive at that by your past experience will guide you. So based on that, you will decide whether to do this or not. It depends on the situation. The awareness will be teaching you how to react to a situation. That will cause minimum harm or no harm. Introspection, like analyzing what you can. It's like homework. It's like a practice to analyze your thought, analyze your breed, analyze people who you are getting anger, or analyze your worries. All those things you analyze, introspect. Why? How can I eradicate? And with that, your awareness will guide your action properly. We'll talk a little bit more about how this awareness can be built, because awareness is important for us to be able to prevent us from doing any harm. And then awareness will also is needed to be living in harmony with yourself. Living in harmony with yourself meaning you have to, if your physical exercise is important for living in harmony with yourself. If you are not doing that, we are causing harm, and the harm starts there itself. If you don't do it, it's not helping the body, the family, the society. So awareness will help you in living in harmony. These three things. Constant awareness is not easy. It requires a lot of practice to get that awareness. You may be aware and do the right thing, but you may do the wrong thing again. So it needs a lot of practice to be consistent and aware each and every moment. There will be situations that can trigger your mental frequency to be in a higher state, 14 to 40 cycles per second. Sometimes you may be 8 to 13, then you'll be aware and make the right decision. But when you're anger, you may not be able to make the right decision at that time. Because the right decision counts, right? The wrong decision will create an imprint. The right decision will create a good imprint so that it doesn't cause harm. The wrong decisions happen when you are in high-end state of emotion. So basically the weight, why it is not easy, because we have a lot of weight of the karmas we have acquired. So it is impeding your progress. You you want to be kind of peaceful, but it is the karmas prevent you from being peaceful and doing the right thing. So the 3 karmas, ancient wisdom is teaching us sanchita karma, which we acquired through generations of evolution. Prarabdha karma from the birth till now, what you acquired, and akami karma, what you are doing now. As a result of both these karmas, akami karma manifests. Karma is again action, it's going to again result in an imprint. Each of these things will result in an imprint. It can be from Sanchita karma. Your father is doing, based on your father's or mother's habit, you do something, and that becomes again a karma and transform into your akamiya. Right? Similarly, what you do now, by means of your own experience, using your senses, it will get recorded in your biomagnetism, and it will manifest again as thoughts, and that will come back again. So that's again a cycle. So we need due diligence. We have to work hard. It's just not just go temple, pray, it's not going away. So Maharishi has given us simple methods. Again, this is not something radically new, but it is all in the ancient text. But to present in a simpler way, Maharishi has done a very great job reaching out to the society in a very simple manner. So even when you do all these meditation, you incorporate all these techniques. You know it or not, you're already doing it, kind of starting to do it. Right? So one is so moralizing the karmas at the thought level. Like whenever a karma, when you're trying to execute the karma, you can moralize it. How this is how you can do. Like you can moralize a thought by, I in my lifetime will not cause harm to anyone, physically or mentally. I'll render all possible help to those who are suffering. Right? If any thought does not meet this formula, it is harmful. You can reject it there itself. If you practice, when your thought comes, if you apply this morality and kind of decide whether it is harmful or not, then it is going to result in a good cycle. Thought, word and deed and experience will be kind of good for you. So this is actually called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is nothing but not causing harm to anyone. Thought, word and deed. Very simple. Because it is important, this is important for life. As long as you live, thought is going to be there. And if you are moralizing your thought, you are actually doing Karma Yoga. You are managing the karma. Very simple definition for Karma Yoga. So, as I was mentioning before, you can, in order to make your decision of whether it's harmful or not, you can also use the past experience, the current situation, and understand the consequence. Right? You will be able to make the right decision. It's unique for your situation.
So it's very well possible that when I'm helping someone, the other person may get affected because of that. So there may be some situations. So in one way I'm getting good karma, but at the same time that is also my responsibility, but that person gets affected. So we have to make the right decision.
Right.
That's what it's
Right. It is, yeah, so those things will happen naturally to you when you practice, right? The other one is expiation. It's prayachittam in Tamil. I don't know the Hindi or Sanskrit, it's probably prayachit, which is nothing but you go and seek forgiveness. Also, you can also help the other person that you have caused harm in some way, apart from seeking forgiveness, to kind of mitigate the imprint on the person as well as on yourself, right? Asking, even for small things, asking sorry is also called, like when you hurt someone and immediately going and seeking forgiveness and asking sorry, that is powerful. If you don't do that, you're building it. You'll build it. But that will cause, that can, let's say you're getting anger with someone and you leave it at that, it can become what? Vengeance, which is magnified anger, which is even worse. Because that person will keep thinking, this person has hurt me, this person has hurt me, I need to give it back. I will build as a very, very strong thought, because the cycle will be there, even though you'll be thinking about you know, that will go and become a stronger imprint, and it will manifest as an action from his side, or through somebody else. Or you use somebody else as an instrument to kind of ensure that revenge happens, politics, whatever you call it. But if you go and immediately kind of seek forgiveness, maybe you resolve that. It's kind of very scientific. No, you can use it in your, even in your company, in your workplace, in your family. It's conflict management. Very, 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 very scientific and practical. Other one is
question on that.
sure.
So you said if someone hurts you, so what do you do at that point? Like, that person gets bad karma, but whoever is getting affected, what is the response that person has to have?
So someone hurts you,
Yeah,
you're
like-
being hurt.
Yeah.
If you have awareness, you forgive.
Okay. So I mean, you talk to that person and say, "I forgive," or you just say.
It depends on the situation, right? You can, it's just it's your awareness needs to tell you how to react to it. But definitely, you should start from the mental level. That I will forgive it, or maybe he's acting out of ignorance. So that will happen as you kind of develop your sixth sense and awareness through meditation and love and compassion. Everybody came from the same source. Maybe he's ignorant at this time, he didn't understand. I'll forgive. Maybe I acted in a way that is inciting that person. What do I do differently? Those kind of thinking has to start. If you can develop that relationship and go talk to that person, and that'll depend. If you're mental free, you will be able to influence. When your mental frequency is lower, maybe you'll be able to talk to that person as well, and sort it out. So
Or you can bless that person.
yes.
That is the best thing. If somebody you think is your enemy or you are hurting you, so you just bless him for his success, for his change of attitude, and you pray for that. You don't even talk to him. That's going to cause another cycle of violence. So you just keep meditate state and bless him for his success, for his good life, so he doesn't get his karma. Actually, Mahatma now, he was praying for God's sake, so that he doesn't get that sin. He was praying for, before he dies, he wants God's sake to be freed. That's what he wants. He doesn't want, because of him, somebody suffers even after his death. So that is the way to handle it.
And one more point to add is not by suppressing the anger, but we have to be in a state that the anger doesn't arise. If you try to suppress the anger, then it will be some other effect might be there. That is, maybe meditation might be.
So meditation plus introspection. Meditation gives you the energy or the frequency to kind of work on it. It doesn't solve it. It gives you the energy to deal with it. You have to deal with it, right? So how this is a technique, right? It's called dissipation. So you can superimpose good thoughts. So if you're angry with someone, you can think of that person and say, hey, I'm getting angry at this person. It's not causing harm to. It is not causing good to me or him. And also, you can, if it's a very, very close member like your wife or husband, you can think of the services that person has done so far. and be magnanimous, and and think that I should not get angry with this person. You should do this exercise for like until you feel confident that you're not getting angry at all, and that will go away. It's kind of, you're superimposing a good thought over a already existing thought, so it's kind of stacking up good, so that this never arises and never gets a chance at all, and then it'll slowly go away. So it's kind of superimposition technique. Superimposition will help in all these things, like all these 6 kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. You need to figure out a superimposition path for greed, how I can be fulfilled, how I can have, how I can live with what I have and not be greedy about if I don't have the capacity. Changing your mentality by introducing thoughts that can on top of it. So there are several practices in introspection Maharishi has given. There will be more introspection courses, but for each of these, greed, anger, miserliness, immoral sexual passion, inferiority, superiority complex, and vengeance, there is superimposition technique to kind of change the thought process. And when you do it regularly, then you'll be able to manage those things and will not come. So if they don't come, you're not finding up new negative karmas, because the excess baggage you have will not help your spiritual development or your social development or your career. It will not be helpful, right? People talk about emotional intelligence in a very, in these corporate sectors, they talk about it. But it's all part of our way of life in the ancient sense. We can use. And then neutralization of the karmas by merging with the Almighty's state. Like when you do meditation, you go deep into meditation and thoughtless state, then you become that. And you become that, you're in a karma-free zone. Also, your karmas will get kind of sublimed. It's like dipping the ocean, right? You clean yourself. So constantly doing that will also clean yourself. That's why after meditation also you're kind of destroying some karmas. Like when you do these, and pass the energy throughout your cells, the blocks or any imprints can get removed. It's just not, you can't say I did meditation 1, I have like 2 karmas. It's no mathematical equation here. You have to do it. Until your existence, until your living becomes a form of love and compassion, which you will never know when you get it, but when you get it, you become that, and then you are in a state like the saints have, like people have lived like that, even in their life. Like see saints who, like Ramaningavara, Maharishi, a lot of saints, they have kind of lived that life of love and compassion. That's the ultimate state of living. When you live, you are kind of very following ahimsa and for being compassionate to people. That is the ultimate state. You will become that. As long as you have the body, you will have thought. But when thought is just love and compassion, you see where you're elevated at. So that's where we need to elevate. So basically, so mind operates, conscious mind meaning like let's say all the senses and your hands and feet, there'll be imprints. Like if you get up in the morning, you want to brush your teeth, that is conscious mind operating there. Or you do exercise, that's also conscious mind operating. But subconscious mind mean there are imprints in the brain. The imprints can get into the brain, and then emanated thoughts, right? So those imprints are imprinted in the brain. So difference between conscious and subconscious is like any daily activities that you do and can get imprinted in your hands and feet, all these senses. So they are routine things that you are imprinted in those cells, and they kind of manifest back as actions. It's in the conscious mind. Subconscious mind is in the brain, it gets imprinted, and then if it gets deeply imprinted, then it manifests back as action, and you can't connect. And then the superconscious mind, basically throughout the body, biomagnetism is flowing, it will also get imprinted, and those thoughts will emanate to like spiritual thoughts, those love and compassion, all those those are positive thoughts that also get imprinted in your biomagnetism. So how do you, so basically there are layers where the mind operates with. So if you're fulfilling just your bodily needs, just please eat food, sleep, get up, eat, sleep, food. That's all you do, work, and that is basically your bodily needs you're fulfilling. If you live your life like that, it is in Annamaya Kosha. Basically, that's where you are there. You're fulfilling just that, and I think probably 99% maybe live in that Kosha state. And Manomaya Kosha is basically if you're living in the state of emotions, which are arising out of these 6 temperaments. If you're just entangled there, you are in that cycle. You're not coming out of it. You want to stay. No matter what, I will just stay in that. People who like to live like that, that's Manomaya Kosha. Enjoy and just live in that state. Pranamaya Kosha is nothing but you're trying to kind of understand what is the life force within the body. You understand the body, what the body is. There is life force in the body, and you're trying to focus on the life force. That is Pranamaya Kosha. Within the body, you feel that now you're meditating in Agna, you're in Pranamaya Kosha. Basically, you're observing your life force. And then if you go now beyond the body consciousness, you see the universe, a lot of living beings as well as the planets. All these things are made up of atoms and all these particles. You understand that, and your interconnection between you and that, anything in the universe. Now you're expanding your mind. That is called wisdom state, Vijnanamaya Kosha. So, which means you've got the wisdom that you and everything you see are one and the same, but you also understand your relationship and you act accordingly and live in harmony with nature. So you are existence that. So as long as you exist, operate in Vijnanamaya Kosha, you solve the purpose of your existence. Beyond that is Anandamaya Kosha, where there is nothing, no thought exists. Bliss. You're merged with Almighty and you're blissful there. You can go there and come back. As long as you live, you can go there and come back. You can get in touch with that. So that's the different layers. In Vijnanamaya Kosha, your mind is operating but at a very low frequency. In Anandamaya Kosha, the mind doesn't function in the sense there's no mind there. That's called Ananda. Because you are becoming that and in that state.
So, one question.
Yes.
So the mind frequency you were mentioning before, like 13 to 40, and then 6 to 12, and 0 to 6, 0 to 5. So are these connected to the different conscious, subconscious, superconscious?
Right.
So just the middle layer is subconscious.
So yeah, so basically for 14 to 40 cycles per second you are living the conscious layer, right? 8 to 13 subconscious. Even 3 to 8 is you're going towards superconscious, and then when you get beyond, when you get to 0, you have no mind. So it's like 4th state is no mind. There is 0, no mind. We can get closer to us, closer to that. So who are you? With all this discussion, Maharishi's, this is the Maharishi's one of the favorite quotes. God plus impurities equal to man. So So the impurities are the karmas. If you remove the impurities, you become the ananda. Right? So that is what we want to aspire to be, the ananda, and get closer to that. And I want to end with one very, very beautiful quote by Maharishi's Guru Valarar. It's a Tamil one. I'll translate, interpret it. Translation is very hard, and it's interpretation is probably better. So, எல்லையில் பிறப்பெனும் பெருங்கடல் கடத்தியன் அல்லலை நீக்கி அருட்பெரும் ஜோதி, which means when I merge with you, the absolute space, எல்லை meaning border. When I get out of the sheets of the koshas, when I am in Vijnanamaya kosha and I get to you into Anandamaya kosha, you break you kind of freed me from the chain of birth and death. I thank you for that, God. That's what the poem is. But it is very, very scientific. Why? The cycle, he's talking about getting out of the cycle. You freed me from the cycle of birth and death, meaning thought is coming and going, but you freed me from that, meaning you merged with Almighty. So when you merge with Almighty, you are in no mind state, and there is no impurities there. So we are already that. So we need to aspire to become, get to the state, and live with love and compassion towards one another, without causing harm to anybody, physically or mentally, in the present or in the future. Be blessed by the divine. We conclude the session with 4 piece prayer.